Hi everyone, welcome back to Feather Stitch House. My name's Rebecca and each week on this channel I make videos about embroidery and textile art to help you get creative. We're in week 27 of this year's Winging It project, Pick the Pots. Each week I take a pick out of my 3 plant pots. The first contains colours, the second contains shapes and the third contains stitches. And we use those prompts to create an improvised piece of textile art to go in our Pick of the Pots book. You can pick up or put down this project whenever you like. There is no obligation to do every week. You can try out new stitches that you haven't tried before. You could stitch the colours and shapes that inspire you, or you could challenge yourself to have a go every week. It's entirely up to you. There is absolutely no pressure here. I've got a bunch of other projects that I've done in Winging It and over on Ko-fi, and the links to all of those are in the description below, so do check those out. Anyway, I can't wait to see what we're going to pick out of our pots this week, so I'm going to head into my studio and let's get picking.
Right, here we go with the pots of doom. So I'm going to start my timer. If you wonder why I've got a stopwatch on, I'm not doing it against the clock. It's just so that you can see that this bit is unedited, so I'm not sort of putting things back in and picking something different out. So let's pick our colour first. If it'll be something interesting. Right, what have we got? Purple. Oh, well, that is the last purple shade, I believe, in there. So I'm going to go for a proper royal purple with this one, but you can interpret it however you want to. So purple is our colour pick. What's our shape going to be? Egg shape. Right, could have done with that on Easter Sunday, couldn't we? So an egg shape. Oh, but not quite oval, I would say. So egg shape, narrower at the top, bigger at the bottom. I suppose you could say pear shape as well. And what's our stitch going to be? Something nice. Let's have a nice easy one. What's it going to be? Coral stitch. Oh, okay. It's not totally easy, but it's not really difficult either. And if you're able to do pearl stitch, you'll definitely be able to do coral stitch. It's part of the same family. So I am going to demonstrate that stitch and then we'll make something. So we have got purple, egg shape and coral stitch. This is going to take some thought for me. I've got nothing immediately springing to mind, so I need to give it a bit of thought, but I'll demonstrate the stitch and then we'll make something, so I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so coral stitch, it's actually a fairly straightforward stitch, but it takes a little bit of getting used to because we form the stitch in a different way to many other stitches that we've done so far. So it's stitched along a line. I've done a straight line. It doesn't have to be a straight line. It'll follow a curve quite nicely. And we're going to work this from right to left. I'm right-handed. So right-handers, you're going to work from right to left. Left-handers, you're going to work from left to right. So here we go. We're going to come up on the end of our line and we want to lay the thread along the line that we're stitching like that. We're going to loop it underneath like that. So we're making a sort of bowl shape, and then we're going to come over the top. And I'm just going to hold that with my thumb. And what I want to do is take my needle in just above the line. I'm going to kind of do a large version to exaggerate it so that you can see. So in just above the line, and I want to take a little bite out of the fabric and come out just below the line. And when I pull my needle through, I want to make sure I'm bringing it over the top of that loop that I made. And I want to pull in the direction that the line is travelling. So I want to pull over to the left, and sometimes you might need to just take it backwards and forwards to tighten it up. But that essentially is coral stitch. So we just do it again, lay our thread along the line, underneath and back over the top, in just above the line, and out just below the line. And the trick with this stitch is to try and keep these little bites even. So we want to take about the same bite each time, and we want to space our bites in the same way as well. So over the top of that loop and pull in the direction of travel. So thread along the line, loop underneath over the top, so I'm going anti-clockwise around, take a little bite, so in just above the line, out just below the line. I want to take my needle over the top of that loop and pull in the direction of travel. Now you can take really small bites if you want to, so that's a medium-sized bite. It creates like a vertical with a horizontal in between. You can space these much more closely together. You can take a really tiny bite if you want to. That's going to give a much smaller little knot on the thread. Now there, I don't know if you can see, it's gone a bit loose. So all I do is I can hook my needle in to that little bite and make it a little bit tighter. So let's do a few of these. Just because of the way my wrists do and don't move, it's easier for me to just turn it towards me and work sideways, but that's an issue of my mobility. It's not that this is the right way to do it or anything like that. I find it much harder to take really tiny bites, but that's the effect if you don't do really small bites and space them a bit more closely together. You can even do giant bites. You will need to untwist your thread regularly because all this curling round is going to cause twists. So you can do giant bites if you want to, and you end up with quite an interesting effect, a bit like a fence. So the trick is to start at the end of the line where your dominant hand is and work along the line in the opposite direction. And we're going along the line first, round underneath, back over the top, and then taking our little bite out of the fabric. So in just above the line, out just below, and then over the loop, wiggle the thread to tighten it. So that is coral stitch. Have a play, see what effect you like the best, and yeah, that's what we're going to use. So I'm going to gather some bits and pieces and then we'll make something. Right, here's my felt. It's a nice sort of royal purple and I've marked on my border. I've also cut a bunch of strips in purple fabric. I thought I would do some patchwork today just to make it a bit more interesting. So these are 1-inch strips and I've marked a 1/4 inch seam allowance on each side and I've transferred it to the back as well. And I'm just going to put them right size together. I've got a couple of little wonder clips just to hold them. And I've just got some machine cotton. It's grey. I tend to use whatever I've got handy because they don't really show. I've knotted the end. And I'm just going to start by putting a little back stitch. Let me come in closer so that you can see what I'm doing. Putting a little back stitch at the start of my line. Just to act as a sort of locking stitch. And then I'm going to do tiny little running stitches along my 1/4 inch line. So try and keep them as small as possible and every now and again I'm just going to put a little tiny back stitch just to keep it secure. You don't have to do the back stitch, I just find that because I'm going to cut it, I think those little back stitches are going to help everything just stay secure. I'm not going to do all of this on camera. This cannot be fun to watch. I hope everybody's well, and if you're in the UK, I hope you've kept safe in the sun. Sorry about my purple thumb. I've been using beetroot and I can't get it off. And I needed to film. Yeah, so if you've been in the UK, I hope you've managed this week. It was absolutely sweltering on Monday. But it's been a little bit better. Still really windy. If anyone knows scientifically why it's so windy, do let me know, because I don't think I've ever known a summer like it. But yes, you will all be pleased to know that my marking is over as well, so I'm really hoping I haven't missed our British summer. But I finished with 2 days to go until deadline, so I was feeling very pleased with myself. And now it's the backlog that I'm dealing with, so I'm not out of the woods yet, but I have a backlog of work for Feather Stitch House that I need to catch up with so that I can feel at ease going on holiday in August. So I've got to get everything in good shape for then. So yeah, it's all good. So I'm going to do a video this week giving you a little bit of an update on the postcards from the Hedge project and a little bit of news about that maybe some of you will be interested in. And then what else I've got? I've got my autumn landscape kit to get ready for our shows in October. So I'm going to be working on that. And this week there'll also be some new workshop dates going on the website. So if you've seen me at a show, you might have picked up a leaflet about the future dates. Haven't actually managed to get them on the website yet. So if you've been waiting to book, that's coming this week. So do check the website. I'll put a community post on to let you know that they're on. Right, I've stitched along that. I've just knotted off the end. So I'm just going to open that out and just finger press it back on itself just to make my seam like that. And then I'm going to get my next strip, which I'm going to put in the middle. It's a bit shorter. These are just cut from scraps of fabric, so I've used what I could. I've just found a bunch of purples in my stash and whatever was an inch wide or more, I've just added that. So same again, make sure your two that you've already stitched together are open and out of the way so that you're not stitching directly on top of what you've just done. And I'm just going to stitch along there. So I'm going to stitch a bunch of these together and then we'll work on our egg. Here's my little bit of patchwork. I've cut myself an egg shape. I just drew around my aperture that I've made and folded it in half, drew half an egg shape and then cut it out. And so thought we could, I probably didn't need that dark purple one down there. I think I prefer this spot to that spot. What do I think? Yeah, I think I do. So I'm going to go up there a little bit. So just got my heat erase pen and I'm going to draw around my little template. And you could either do this raw edge, so you could cut out your shape as it is. I think I'm going to do a turned edge, so I'm going to go around that again, just eyeballing it, add in around about 1/4 inch. Oh, I did need that purple, look, otherwise I wouldn't have had anything to turn back there. Like that. So I'm going to cut around the outside line. I just pressed this, by the way, I pressed it so that all the seams go in the same direction, and they're all a similar tone, so you don't have to worry about your fabric showing through. If you've got a very pale fabric, always press to the dark, otherwise you'll leave a sort of ghost. The dark fabric will show through the lighter fabric. So like that. So what I was thinking was Fabergé eggs, so this isn't going to be quite as exciting as a Fabergé egg, but we'll have a good go. Right, I want to position it so it's roughly central. And it looks too big at the moment, but we're going to turn that outside edge back. I just want to pin it. And I want some machine thread. You can use purple if you want to, but this one is pretty invisible against these purples, so I think it'll be fine. Now if you want to, you can make some snips. I might at the top end, because the point, the curve at the top is quite sharp. So just around this top edge, I'm not going to go right up to the line, but I'm just going to snip maybe every centimetre around that top edge, just so that that curve works, and I think I'll be alright on the rest. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to start on a long edge, I'm going to fold back to the line, and then I'm going to come up through the felt and just catch the very edge of that fold. So this is like an applique stitch, so coming up right at the very edge of the fold, and then forward a little bit, and then just tucking the needle right in against the fold but not going through it. I'm going to go through to the back, and then I'm going to scoop forward and pick up a little bit of fabric on that fold. Again, back down through the felt, and then forward through the felt and the fold of the fabric, and then I'm at the edge of what I've turned back, so I'm going to just turn back a little bit more, so back down just through the felt, up through both. So this is kind of a running stitch, but we're just catching the edge of our turned fabric just to hold it in place, and it's going to save our patchwork on threading itself. You won't have any problems though. I've cut hand sewn patchwork many times, and it never had a problem with it unravelling. If on one of the joins you get a little kind of corner sticking up, just push it back under with your needle and make sure you catch that corner. So just at the point where those two pieces of fabric join, the one on top can sometimes stick out a little bit, so just make sure you've got a stitch right in the corner, and when you stitch back through the felt, it'll pull in and keep it looking straight. So forward a bit and up through both layers, down just through the felt. Make sure you keep your stitches tucked right up against the edge of the fabric and you won't be able to see them. Just want to get around this top curve just to show you why we've snipped it. So obviously the line that we've done for our turn back is a longer line than the actual shape of the egg, and so there's going to be more fabric at this edge than there is here. So when we turn it in, we need to compensate. So putting little snips in means that the fabric can fold over itself. You can do it with pleats, but I think it's easier with little snips. So don't go right up to the line, but you should be able to fold back around that curve, and the if I just pull it back, you should be able to see how those folds are overlapping each other on the inside, and that takes up the extra space that we need for that longer outside line. So it's just a way of compensating. So we're just working our way around, going really methodically, no rush, turning back a little bit and then putting in our applique stitches. So I'm going to work all the way around to get my egg shape, and then we'll come and put our coral stitch on. Right, I've stitched it all down. I've got a little bit of a dent in my egg. That's what happens when I'm demonstrating. I concentrate more on filming than I do on what I'm actually saying. But if I bring it up close, I've put in a couple of lines of coral stitch just to show you what I'm doing. So I thought we would decorate our egg with some lines of stitch. So I've got a purple perle. It is shade 112. It's an anchor perle. And I've also got some silk thread. This is Raj Mahal art silk. If you're interested in this, look at the sheen. It's just fabulous. Really nice to have in your stash. It's a very different texture. It is a viscose silk. It's not like a silk, but it's a little bit tricky to work with because it's so springy. It's shade 113. I'll put a link to a supplier in the description below. It is a UK supplier, but I'll put a link if you're interested. They're just lovely and they're really easy. They come in a twisted skein like that. You just cut the skein at the bottom and leave it attached, and then you can pull out, it's a stranded thread, so you just pull out the strand from the looped end and you can divide up the threads and use however many you want to. So I'm doing my perle in the middle of my stripes, and I'm going to do a couple of lines of silk over the joins just to add a little bit of detail. So no, it's not gold like a Fabergé egg, but I thought we could do without another metallic nightmare with a stitch like this. So I'm going to come in super close, just the same as what I've done. So I'm right-handed, so I'm working right to left. So loop thread under and take a little bite, pull in the direction you want to travel. So along the line, loop under, take a little bite, and the bigger the bite you take, the bigger that little knot of stitch. Hard to see purple on purple, but the bigger that little knot of stitch will be. So we're just going to work our way along. So quite a therapeutic one. I haven't decided whether I'm going to go around the outside or not. See how it goes, see what it looks like after all the stitching's on. So if you are feeling brave, You can get metallic perle from Madeira. You can also get a light effects thread from DMC in a shade of purple, just to sort of make it look more jazzy, but I haven't got either of those, so I'm just gonna stick with the silk. And perle's got a real sheen to it. It's why I'm using perle rather than stranded cotton. DMC is more shiny, but it does have a bit of sheen to it. Don't know how well it's picking up on camera, but just wanted to get a little sense of luxury in with the threads that I've used. So a nice sparkly thread would look nice though to create our Fabergé egg. I did find a purple Fabergé egg on when I googled it, so that's what gave me the idea really. Let's do a line in the silk just so that you can see how that looks. So you might find beeswax quite helpful with silk because you can see the strands don't want to stay together, they're very springy, but it's got a lovely sort of shimmeriness to it. So that's how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to put loads of lines of coral stitch on, and then I'll come back when we're done and we'll put it in the book. Okay, here we go. I've added a few beads, really simple, just running stitch essentially and hooking a bead on. I did all my stitching and thought it looked a little bit flat, so I wanted to add a little bit more shine. Kind of wish I'd had a metallic thread that fitted with the theme, but that is my very quick attempt at something approximating a Fabergé egg. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do. And we've got the new book. It's very exciting. Right. My daughter has pinched my decent glue stick, so I've got a supermarket own brand one here, and I'm hoping it's going to be strong enough, because they're not always, are they? Right. It tends to be quite watery. It's very slippery on the page. Right, so it's the 6th of the 7th, 25. Oh, the ease. Not balancing everything. And we have got a shape, which is egg. But that's not right, is it? It should be the colour first. So let's move that down a little bit. Right, our shape, which is egg. Our colour, which is purple. Try and get it over the glue that's already on there. And our stitch, which was coral stitch. And there we have it. So can't wait to see what you do with these prompts. Hopefully you won't have a dented egg, and I'm sure that you are going to come up with something far more exciting than mine. So I'm going to be watching our Facebook group very closely this week. If you do want to join our private Facebook group, there's a link in the details below. If you're sharing on Instagram, don't forget to use hashtag FSHWingingIt2025, and that groups all of the posts under that hashtag together, so you can search on that hashtag and look through everything that everybody's posted so far. And if you do that, remember to tag me at Feather Stitch House, and I'm more likely to get a notification to say that you've uploaded something, and I'm more likely to see it. So there we go. Have a great week stitching your purple egg with coral stitch. I will be back next week with another prompt, and I will see you then. Take care and have a great week. Bye.